Alright, we are live again covering a severe weather outbreak for the third day straight. The severe weather outbreak is expected to pan out across the Midwest. You can basically see this is going to be the area we're going to need to watch closely. So in today's severe weather event, there's potential for isolated strong tornadoes, widespread damaging wind gusts, and there's also the potential for even some localized hail as well. But we'll get right into it. This before we get into the severe weather outlook. We already have a tornado warning that has been issued for Clearmont and Burlington Junction, this in Iowa, and this is warned for obviously a tornado warning, but ping pong ball sized hail as well. The rotation is kind of broad on this storm. I'm not really sure why it's even warned. It's either one of these two rotation spots. I'm not really sure why it's warned, but there you go. Tornado warning has been issued. So again, seek shelter immediately with as lowest part of your home or building. We are likely to see at least a few more of these, and potentially some of them could be on the ground. We also just had a new warning that just came through. I'm trying to figure out where it came out from, but this entire area is prone for severe weather today. There's also ping pong ball sized hail with the storm, as I mentioned before. The tornado is actually going to be located in this little, actually, never mind. It's going to be located somewhere in here. I don't believe the velocities have caught up to it yet. Severe thunderstorm watches have been issued for pretty much the entire area of eastern portions of Kansas, western Missouri, pretty much all central Oklahoma and northern portions of Texas. Severe thunderstorm warnings are issued for Frederick, Oklahoma for 60 mile per hour gusts and quarter sized hail. Another severe thunderstorm warning. This one is a considerable one for 60 mile per hour gusts and lime sized hail in portions of Oklahoma. And then just special weather statements here for some isolated gusty storms with some hail. The one near Kingfisher, Oklahoma is for 50 mile per hour gusts and nickel-sized hail. The one near the Wichita Tribes, Caddo Nation, Delaware Nation, one is for 50 to 55 mile per hour gusts and nickel-sized hail. We also have severe thunderstorm warnings that extend up to portions of northern Oklahoma that are warned for both 60 mile per hour gusts and quarter-sized hail and 60 mile per hour gusts and quarter-sized hail. We just had another warning that came through. I'm not sure exactly where it came through, but I'm trying to get through this as much as I can. A bunch of storms developing along a boundary, or cold front, I should say. Anything close to this warm front is going to have to be watched. Here's the area of low pressure of concern, and then we've got a warm front that's dragging through parts of northern Missouri. This is what's going to be the ignition for these supercell thunderstorms that could potentially develop. These thunderstorms are likely to get worse throughout the evening hours, and we could be looking at an overnight threat. We also have a few other areas in discussion. Let me basically show you the entire severe weather outlook before we really get anywhere. So, anyways, let me get the severe weather outlook up for you guys. Today's kind of a bit of an interesting one. It's a lot like the one that we had last night. This one just doesn't look like it's going to be as aggressive. But here we go. Get all of those up there. We do have an enhanced risk of severe weather today. That is the primary reason why you're alive today. Obviously, the tornado risk as well. And there we go. Okay, so basically we have an enhanced risk of severe weather that's been issued for Iowa and Missouri. We also have a 5% hatched risk and 2% hatched risk of tornadoes for the Midwest, as well as a 30% hatched risk for damaging wind gusts that is basically the same exact area as the tornado warning area as well. So yeah, that's that. We have a few mesoscale discussions that have been issued. There's a lot of warnings going off right now, so yeah, things are just getting crazy. We now have a tornado warning that has been issued in portions of Leroy, Illinois. Things are going crazy. Things are popping off. This is one of the areas that we do not expect tornado warnings today, but it is in the hatched region. We have a little bit of a supercell in portions of Downs. I believe this is located in Illinois. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe this is Illinois. If you're in this warning, seek shelter immediately, whether that is the lowest part of your home or building. There's a bit of broad rotation. I don't even know why this is really even warned. But there's a bit of broad rotation, and some of this could be debris, but it's such a small supercell. The tornado is going to be located basically right here, so this could be the sign of a debris ball, but it's really all depends on the tornado warning itself. We're going to get the mesoscale discussions up. As I showed you guys, there's quite a bit of extent of the marginal risk of severe weather as well. Then we have a wide risk of a mesoscale discussion. This is mostly just for severe. I expect this entire line here to mostly just be severe thunderstorms where the cold front is, obviously. And then up near where the warm front is, this is where we're going to have to watch out for potential tornadoes. And yes, it does extend as far north as Bloomington, Illinois, and could extend farther than that. So we're going to get the mesoscale discussions up for you guys real fast. This shouldn't take too long. Let me do that real quick. If you guys are new, please remember to like and subscribe. Mesoscale discussion. We just have a couple. Not anything crazy. I think the worst one is going to be this. I think the worst one is going to be located up in Iowa and Missouri. So nothing crazy yet, but things could turn to be quite extensive. All right. Now we're going to get up the mesoscale discussions. Here are the latest mesoscale discussions for you guys. All right, I'll just switch those around. Okay. Okay, so the latest mesoscale discussion calls for us. Let me just make it bigger so you guys can see here. It calls for 2 to 3.5 inch size hail in diameter, 65 to 80 mile per hour damaging winds, and the potential for up to EF1 to EF2 tornadoes. It should be primarily EF1 tornadoes, and this may not even really be a tornado threat over here because there's a lot of cloud cover, but obviously the warnings are going off like crazy right now. So again, we'll just first kind of look at this other storm. This one kind of looks like it's fading. I think it was it looked like it had a pretty good debris cell on it when it was near Hayworth. I'd like to see the velocities for around that time frame. The velocities are very weak on this storm, so to be honest, I'm not even sure why it's warned. But the velocities were originally broad through pretty much the entire storm cycle, so it's pretty much stayed the same exact way. And as far as I know, I don't think there's anything on the ground. That could be something, but it's ahead of the storm. But you can see storms are starting to develop along the warm front. Looking back at this tornado warning up in portions of Clearmont, Also warned for ping pong ball sized hail. Again, velocities show some broad rotation down here. Nothing crazy just yet, but things can obviously change. There is nothing as far as debris goes quite just yet, which is a good sign. So no tornado is likely on the ground at this point, but we're obviously going to continue to watch this. I actually think that may be the actual area of rotation. If you're near Burlington Junction, there's broad rotation, but it is enough to be concerned. It is in fact, warned. Going back down through this other severe thunderstorm, these severe thunderstorm warnings, most of these are just for 60 mile per hour gusts and quarter-sized hail, as you can probably see. We have another severe thunderstorm warning that was just issued or has been issued for portions of Carnegie, and this is for 60 mile per hour gusts and half-dollar sized hail. Another severe thunderstorm warning down near Frederick. This one is warned for 60 mile per hour gusts and quarter-sized hail. Make sure to seek shelter immediately if you're in any of these storms. But we're really just going to watch this warm front. The storm does look ugly. It's got a little tiny hail core right near Burlington Junction, but nothing crazy so far. This, the overall threats, which I can show you, are right here. The probabilities for EF2 plus tornadoes is a 50%, so very high. These, and for 10 plus or hail the size of 2 or more inches in diameter is 60%. So this is it says the wind shear, I believe the max wind is 55 knots, so about 60 miles per hour, if not greater. Let's just go a little bit over discussion of how things could play out. I do believe we're already having some storms starting to spin ahead of this warm front, like this one near Red Oak, or if that's what you call it. But here we go. We're starting to get the ignition. Here's the ignition right here. All this stuff on the radar over here. But nothing crazy happens yet. Let's get to the future radar. I'm going to use the actually very quickly I'm going to use tropical tidbits real quick, just to make things a little bit easier. All right. All right, so here it is the Tropical Tidbits website. Here is kind of how things could pan out. So this is the GFS model. Obviously, we want to look at the HRRR model. So here we go. I'm going to zoom into the north central US where we are dealing with. So this is kind of right around 5 p.m. Things are just starting to develop a little bit. As we move forward in time, things should become aggressive. This only runs for so long. I'm going to go with the 18Z. But we're going to start at around 5 p.m., which is where we're at right now. It's got the general idea. A bunch of severe thunderstorms are starting to develop to the north, to the south and west. But you can see right along this warm front boundary, you can see a bunch of spin, or actually, I wonder if I can just zoom in just a little bit closer. I guess not. We're gonna have to just deal with it. Looking at the this is basically the time frame. So the time frame for the worst storms is probably going to be between right around now and between to pretty much I'd say 2 o'clock in the morning. So I'm not going to live stream obviously that long, but that is the primary threat zone what we're going to be watching for. And I would be very careful if I was down in Missouri, because I think they may actually extend the enhanced risk or slight risk a bit farther, because this damaging wind line does look pretty nasty on the HRRR model. but we'll continue to watch this. There's going to be a ton of snow, sleet, and freezing rain on the northern half of this. Some areas could receive as much as potentially a quarter to as much as a half an inch of ice accretion. I wouldn't even be surprised if there's more. And then obviously quite a big snowstorm on the northern half of it. Easily, probably some areas. There's probably going to be a pocket right in here of some localized areas. I'm not of additional jackpot, but this is just the general idea. But you can kind of see where the warm front is located right here, and that's why we did have that tornado warning, I do believe. But that's all the information I have for you guys right now. We'll just, yeah, so that's that. All right, so back to the fun stuff. Still, that tornado warning remains warned. We now have a severe thunderstorm warning that has just been issued for portions of near Ponca City, or it looks at least familiar. 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-sized hail can be expected with this storm. This storm is this one right here. So watching this tornado warning near Leroy. It kind of looks like it's falling apart. I'd say this storm is not really any more of a threat. This storm is pretty much toast. Now we're gonna have to watch this supercell near Lewistown in portions of Illinois. I believe this is right along the borderline of it. No, it's not really, but we're gonna have to watch it. Just watch the back end of this to see if anything starts to rotate a little bit. There is a bit of rotation near Bluff City, and nothing, there's a little bit of something on the correlation coefficient, but I don't think this is actually a tornado on the ground, because this isn't even warned as a tornado warning to begin with. But these are the kind of supercells we're gonna have to watch out for. I don't think that one's trying to spin. It doesn't look like it anyways. Moving on to this radar site, we're just gonna have to watch for the next couple of hours as things get aggressive. But as I've said before, a lot of these storms down here are for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and we're going to continue to see that. There's also a large mesoscale discussion for flooding as well, which probably will be a concern, obviously. This is going to take until probably 2 o'clock in the morning to cross here, but I would watch out for particularly about till here for a damaging wind line to come through. So yeah, things could get ugly, and there is enough wind shear in place, I do believe, to get those severe thunderstorms. This tornado warning near Burlington Junction is looking more and more ugly. I can see a little bit of a hook echo starting to develop on it. Yep, we're starting to get a little bit of tighter rotation. There's still some broad rotation with it, but in general, it's quite broad. But while we're talking about that, I'm just looking at the future radar. Things are going to get potentially ugly. I don't think tonight it's going to be a huge tornado threat. I'm going to be honest. I think this may not play out as expected. I think we'll be dealing with more of a QCLS tornado threat, which means tornadoes or rotation embedded within the line of thunderstorms. I think it's going to be within, right when I said around 5 p.m. and 2 a.m. is going to be the biggest threat. I think by about 2 a.m. there's going to be too much convection happening to really put out a tornado risk. A new warning just came out. We'll get to that right away. That would, I don't know why it keeps on alarming me for things that are not even there. Anyways, new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for Lafayette. We normally wouldn't be going after these severe thunderstorm warnings, but this one does have a tornado possible label. Expect 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-sized hail with this thunderstorm as well. For some reason, the radar's just not working. There we go. All right, yeah, just watch the tail end of the storm here. It's trying to rotate a little bit. I don't think there's really any much of rotation with the storm. There could be on the back end of it. I mean, it's kind of broad though, but it's always a possibility. nothing really there as far as debris, so that's always a good thing as well. There is a hail core on it. I believe that's more than just quarter-sized hail, but I could be wrong. Tornado warning still in effect for Leroy area. This one is kind of just fading. It may be trying to redevelop something on the back side of it. I don't know how it's doing. I don't know if it's going to be successful to do so, but it's trying to develop something on the back side of it now, which could be something. New severe thunderstorm warning issued for portions of Gracemont. This is down in Oklahoma, I believe, or Texas, one of the two. This one is kind of those thunderstorms you're going to want to watch out for, because right on the back end of it, you can kind of see there's a little hook here. I would watch out for more than just ping pong ball sized hail with this one. I'd watch out for the potential risk for a tornado, even though the tornado parameters down here I don't think are that impressive. However, if I look at the significant tornado parameter, really this entire line is really favorable for spin. But I think the primary corridor, and I'm gonna show this very clearly, and this is just based off of the latest HRRR model run. It's gonna be right in here. This is where you're gonna have to really watch. And as you can see, this tornado one storm is actually starting to move into that area. Let's see how this goes. But this is gonna be kind of a very this tornado threat is already looking pretty bad to me. Let's see if there's any rotation on the back end of the storm, because I think there might be. I think this could be considered a rotation here near Downs. I think there's something trying to rotate on the back of this thunderstorm. So it was originally there was originally a tornado warning for over here on the southwestern half of the storm, but it's no longer there. Moving on. Okay, so they've no longer issued the tornado warning here. It is just a severe thunderstorm warning with 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and ping pong ball sized hail. So again, seek shelter immediately if you are in this storm. But yet again, you've got a hook echo here, and you've got to watch out. I'm really interested. The lapse rates with this system I thought might have been never mind. So now we're getting into that time frame where things are going to start getting interesting, I think. Looking down through here, a bunch of severe thunderstorm warnings. Most of these are just for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-sized hail. As you can see, there's just a few of them lined up. You can see, I'd say the most one I'd look after is probably the one near Carnegie. I don't really know how to pronounce that though. But this one now near Signer, I don't know. I think it's in Oklahoma. I want to say, yeah, it is in Oklahoma. For 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-sized hail. The one near Carnegie has a large hail core on it. Stay indoors if you're in this one and away from windows if you can. This one's got large hail with it, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-sized hail. Sorry, not quarter-sized hail, ping pong ball-sized hail, so even worse. And it looks like they've just got rid of one of the mesoscale discussions. Another severe thunderstorm warning issued for parts of Kingfisher. This is again Oklahoma once again. expect 60 mile per hour gusts and quarter-sized hail. And this line extends all the way up to portions of El Dorado. None of these look severe, although I wouldn't be surprised if we get a little spin with some of these, because in this line there could be some wind shear. I have a way of tracking the rotation tracks, but it's with a different app. This storm's up here near Maryville still looks ugly with a hail core on it. This one is warned for 60 mile per hour gusts and ping pong ball sized hail. Still a tornado warning issued for parts of Bloomington, Downs. It looks to me, we'll wait for this to load, give it a second. Looks to me like the half end of this has kind of just torn apart, so that's no longer a factor. But I wonder if we're starting to get some twist happening here again, because this area is lighting up again for some reason. But it doesn't look like it's rotating. There could be a tad of rotation, but it's very much nothing like it. But what's interesting is we have a cluster here of rotation over here, but it's not actually a part of the thunderstorm. So that, my friends, is a what you call radar contamination. 16. This thunderstorm over here near Lafayette, this is in Illinois, is still warned for 60 mile per hour gusts and quarter-sized hail. Just keep in mind that obviously that's enough to cause damage, but there's also a tornado possible label on this thunderstorm. And did they issue, actually, they issued a small special weather statement for this storm as well, or that may have already been issued. But we'll see how things go. All right. New severe thunderstorm warning just issued for this storm in portions of Latham, or if you want to get a closer town name, near Haley. This one has the potential to be a tornadic because it has that kind of bean shape look to it. 60 mile per hour gusts and quarter-sized hail can be expected with this thunderstorm. So yeah. Also, quick little update. Away from the severe weather, I wanted to show you guys this. We're gonna switch to a new thing. Just give me 1 second. All right, let me just get some stuff up here. Wrong one. There we go. Okay, here's a little information on some aurora going on right now. Again, nothing significant is happening right now, but I just want to kind of cover this real quick. All right, so we are in a geomagnetic G2 geomagnetic storm. The current wind speeds are the solar wind is howling at 712.62 kilometers per second. That is a lot for miles per hour. As you can see, the density has spiked. This is an indication of potentially some pretty dense auroras, as well as the magnetic field is as high as 7 nanoteslas, and then the overall BZ value, which is how you tell how far south the actual the auroras is down as low as pretty much low enough to get into the some of the northern half of America. There is potential here for this to become a G4 storm, but it is a lower chance, but it's still something we need to watch. So We'll keep that there, continuing to monitor it. The overall Aurora oval right now is indicating between G2 and G3 conditions. Back to, oh, wrong one, sorry about that. Back to coverage. Again, this severe thunderstorm warning, again, you got to watch out for these individual cells. I get that this is attached to kind of a line here, but still be aware. Going back up here, no tornado warnings up here right now, but obviously still that one tornado warning over in portions of Illinois. Leroy still in a tornado warning for the next 9 minutes. It looks to me like the storm is quite literally falling apart. You'll see actually if we take a look at, if you look at the severe weather outlook, it's that tornado risk, that hatch risk area has been actually extended all the way through that area, which is probably why you actually get a tornado warning, surprisingly. But luckily last night there was no confirmed tornadoes. Well, there was one confirmed tornado, obviously. I think there was actually a couple that didn't get put in the record books, but it's all right. Apologize for the subscriber count. Let me fix that real fast. There you go. We are at 87 subscribers. If you guys have not subscribed yet, please do so. We are trying to hit 100 subscribers. That would be very much appreciated. The current time right now is 4:22 p.m. CDT. It is 5:22, about to be 5:23 p.m. EST and 3:22 p.m. PST, Pacific Standard Time, obviously. I will get that number. Latest mesoscale discussion can be seen on the bottom left of your screen above the timestamp, and we're gonna get those watches warnings for both the winter, both the severe and the winter ones aligned properly. Let me just take a look real quick. We are looking at. All right, 33 severe, 33 storm warnings, and we have and if there somehow doesn't end up being a bunch of tornadoes today, there will be a ton of lightning because there's a ton of energy associated with this cold front. And the most unstable cape is being seen in portions of Missouri, but this could get into portions of southern, extreme southern Iowa and extreme northern Missouri, where that tornado threat actually aligns pretty closely. Values could be as high as 1 to 3 potentially. So we definitely could see an isolated strong tornado. I don't think the threat is overly high at this point. As long as storms can stay at least somewhat semi-discreet, we could see a tornado risk, but I think the severe storms in Missouri will remain just severe thunderstorms with damaging winds. I think really the main corridor that needs to be watched is going to be probably before we get into that, we have a new tornado warning that was just issued for parts of Hopkins. This has been extended, or it was either that or the app glitched. But let's see about the velocities. We have some strong. We have a strong couplet near Hopkins, just to the west here. There could be something here. I'm not sure if it's really anything on the ground, but there could be something there. I try to get cameras near Hopkins. This is up in Iowa. It's gonna be near impossible to find cameras, so that's quite unfortunate. The magnetic field right now is going back up again, so that's not great. But just watching the ignition of these thunderstorms, if they're gonna develop or not. We are starting to see the thunderstorms starting to develop along the line here. But it should be more of a line of thunderstorms here as it comes through. So we're kind of in the early states of this severe weather outbreak. You can see a lot of these are really just showers in general. But to further analyze, so we've got temperatures in the 70s, dew points mid 60s for a pretty good corridor. I wonder if it extends beyond the warm front. Right around the warm front, we do have dew points that are in the mid 60s and mid 60s for temperatures. And then along with that, if we take a look at the satellite imagery overall, you can see this is going to be a big problem, I think. You have a lot of cloud cover, which means I think the lapse rates may be a little bit heightened. In order for you to have a full-blown tornado outbreak, you can still have one with cloud cover, but it's going to need a certain amount of energy or wind shear. And I do think the wind shear is there, but the wind shear is going to be kind of lifting to the north and east, the highest of it. So it's really going to have to remain in this corridor here of Missouri and Iowa, where the most intense supercells could potentially be, if they were to be. But after analyzation here, I'd say this, and I can take a look at shear tracks as well. I'll take a look at that on another radar app. Give me 1 second here. The wind shear tracks are essentially just the wind shear, that's all. All right, let me see what I got here. Come on. There we go. Nothing much, but this is going to be the main corridor, I think, up here. We're starting to see clouds break apart. You can kind of see it already starting to happen here near Centerville here. As long as this section can break apart, we're going to have a problem because this is the most unstable area right now. We'll see if things can pop off or not. But this is what I mean. If we look at the HRR model for the feature radar, you can see these supercells here off to the left, off to the west. They're going to go into this environment. Now, the one problem I'm seeing is it looks more like a squall line than anything, and it's going right through an area of very favorable environment for tornadoes. So it could extend either further north, it could extend further south, but we're really just gonna have to watch. But I really don't even think this is gonna be that big of an outbreak, given the 5%. But taking a look at the significant tornado parameter around this area, just look at this. I mean, it is quite highly elevated. This is the HRR model. You're dealing with favorable environments of up to nearly 3 points. So, and the wind shear on top of this, or actually you can just look at this the 850 millibar wind closest to the surface. I mean, just look at this jet stream. It's ripping 40 to 50 knots. So, and then obviously the wind shear, there's tons of it. The only problem is there's less of it to the south, but in that corridor, as you can see, 30 to 50 knots. So, I'm wondering if they're going to issue a 10% risk of tornadoes. I don't think they will, since it's kind of a bit too late to do that. However, that is the latest analyzation. I'm sure you just saw they issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Bedford now. This is for this incoming thunderstorm again. A nasty little thunderstorm coming through with a lot of hail. That will continue to move to the north and east. Expect 50 mile per hour wind gusts, a quarter-sized hail, and there is a potential for a tornado. Moving down the line now, severe thunderstorm warnings isolated in nature through Eureka. This one needs to be watched. It really does, because this is running into a very favorable environment for tornadoes. And believe it or not, the models are indicating the most favorable environment is exactly where the supercell is. So this thunderstorm is capable of producing 60 mile per hour wind gusts and quarter-sized hail. So again, stay away from windows and stuff like that, because that can very easily break things. This is not really a damaging wind line here. This is more of a gusty line of thunderstorms moving through. But just be aware of the factor of flooding, obviously. 50 mile per hour wind gusts and nickel-sized hail can be expected. And then moving down through this line here, another severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Kingfisher. But obviously there's quite a hail core here. I wouldn't be surprised if they warned it for higher hail. This one is warned for quarter-sized hail and 60 mile per hour wind gusts. And then just a few more cells down here that are warned for 60 mile per hour wind gusts and quarter-sized hail. Particularly this one again. Another decent-sized hail core. And then one that's special weather statement. Guess you could call this a warning. It's got a little bit of hail with it, but honestly, this one is the most scariest of them all. And you wouldn't think that, but it is. And here's the reason why. Because number one, the velocities may not be scanning much, but this could easily become a dangerous thunderstorm if it runs into the right environment and starts spinning. So that's not a problem right now, but it could become one. And these storms are elevated up to 41 feet with that one. This one needs to be watched, 44 feet. This one really needs to be watched. This one is up to 50 feet. And then these storms up here near and along this line need to be watched, because they're very tall thunderstorms. But really, you need to be aware of the ones that are closest to the ground. So in this case, this one is the lowest to the ground. This one is about 37 to 41 feet. You need to be aware of the ones that are more closer to the ground, because those are the ones that can really tap into really become a tornado producer. But we'll continue to watch this line. I'm gonna have this on the full radar here. Again, you can kind of see what I'm talking about, the whole line here. We're actually getting some special weather statements throughout down here. Wonder what these are about. This is basically, so essentially, here's the cold front, the area of low pressure right here. You got the warm front extending to portions of the Midwest and Ohio Valley, and then you've got a long cold front. The cold front, actually, I believe, yeah, the cold front is extending down like this. It's pulling in Gulf moisture, which is exactly why you're going to get this line of thunderstorms and these supercells to develop. But we'll see how this goes. I'm not overly confident quite just yet, because, well, we've got an area to watch, obviously. The tornado watch has been issued. It's just, can we get enough instability before nighttime falls to really get any thunderstorms to rotate? The wind shear's there. The low level winds are ripping 40 to 50 knots, and the dew points and temperatures are right in line. So we'll see if we can get anything to really develop. It really comes down to that. In other news, as far as the Aurora Borealis goes, G3 storm conditions have been met, so that's strong conditions. Remember, there's a scale out of 1 out of 5. It goes from G1 geomagnetic storming all the way up to G5 geomagnetic storming, which is extreme. For some reason, the aurora forecasts are down. The site may have gone hacked, but I doubt it because it's a government website. We'll see if they are okay. So they've kind of tightened up the enhanced risk of severe weather, but again, this is more of a 5% risk of tornadoes, so nothing crazy. If anything, I'd be more concerned about the damaging wind threat. But we'll see if they add in a 10% risk. I doubt they will because it's a bit too late now, but yet again, I could be wrong. You can read the analyzation of and the mesoanalysts, mesoscale analysts of this severe weather risk, but it is a mainly wind-driven risk. Is this just warned? No. Okay. Yeah, not much going on with this one. I'm honestly surprised because it's in a pretty unfavorable environment. I mean, the temperatures could be a bit warmer, but this is a pretty favorable environment for severe thunderstorms and tornado-warned thunderstorms too. This one looks like it's kind of just turning into a flat like storm here. I wonder if this one even has high echo tops anymore. I'm genuinely interested here. Let's see here. It's not as elevated as it once before was. We're down to 42 feet now, so, or 43. I don't know what they call it. I think it's 43 miles in the sky. So there's a decent hail core in the storm too, so be aware of that. But nothing looks particularly interesting right now. And it doesn't look like there's much in the way of rotation. I mean, I guess you could consider this rotation, but really down here, there's a little area here. Very broad rotation. The warm front is now moved further to the north, and it's going to continue to do that through the next couple of hours. There is a new tornado warning, actually, that just got issued. Tornado warning in portions of Fowler, Illinois. This one is for, let's see here. Let's see what the rotation is. Very, very, very strong rotation. This one actually is concerning. Near Oxford. Be very careful if you're near this storm. If you can, seek shelter immediately, whether it's the lowest part of your home or building. That almost suggests that there may even be a tornado on the ground with this storm. That's how aggressive that rotation is. This tornado, if there is a tornado, could easily be upwards of an EF1, potentially even higher than that. The rotation did just drop just a little bit, but it's still pretty strong. This is a brand new tornado warning. We will definitely have to watch that. Nothing looks to be on the ground with that one. Excuse me. Random severe thunderstorm warning down in portions of central Texas that just got issued. This could be one of those more long track thunderstorms, not necessarily tornadic, just a long thunderstorm. It's got a long way to go. Hail core is very tight. 60 mile per hour and gust of quarter-sized hail can be expected with this thunderstorm. It's very funny to me how we're only having tornado warnings over here and barely any over here where the actual threat is. And these thunderstorms or these heavy showers are just starting to break up. I wonder if these models actually predicted that there was going to be thunderstorms ahead of this line, because I don't think they originally did. I'm gonna be honest with you. The StratusFW model picked up on it, but they're a little bit too far north. Yeah, the 19Z StratusFW model had these thunderstorms moving to the northeast. It's really going to be the squall line that's going to be interesting. I'm really going to decide if I'm going to continue to be live for this threat. Again, there's potential here, but I think the cloud cover may just be a limiting factor to this whole setup. But there could be a potential few stronger ones, stronger long track thunderstorms, and surprisingly enough, some of them could be in Illinois and Missouri. So we'll end up having to see. But looking through the future radar, I'm just looking at the European model, for example, right now. This storm will eventually move its way into the northeast, eventually, with some heavy downpours across much of New England, including Maine. There could be even a few rumbles of thunder, but there could be some freezing rain and even potentially some snow that starts off on Sunday morning, and then that will switch over to rain throughout the day. Another clipper system tries to develop in the Great Lakes region next Tuesday that could potentially bring some light snowfall accumulation to portions of interior southern New England. And then things just become uncertain, and I'm starting to become more and more worried about this upcoming hurricane season, and let me tell you why. So odds are, actually, you know what, let me just put this somewhere else. Alright, so I think if I, alright. Alright. Alright, let me just show you guys what's going on here. So, I'm sure you guys have all heard there's potential for a potentially strong to super El Nino. And the reason why I'm particularly concerned is because here's the whole really picture here. Let me just get this all set up real fast. Alright, so we have this we have this this high pressure here. You can see it. You can I guess the better way to show you would be the European ensemble models, really. Let me see here. Let me see real fast. Okay. It doesn't really do what I wanted to do, but let's see if the European AIFS model does it, or even the CFS model. Okay, here we go. So obviously with an El Nino, what an El Nino is just essentially pretty much the opposite of a La Nina. If this will... Okay. So, right now we are in a typical La Nina pattern, right? We have dipping in the jet stream as usual. We're going to develop a El Nino, and depending on how strong this El Nino is, so you can kind of see how this jet stream is starting to tilt more of a tilted flow through portions of Canada into the northeast, and then a Pacific jet stream that will kind of align that goes into the Gulf. So what I'm worried about is we could develop a high pressure kind of rain here, and this will be a really bad thing. And the reason due to that is because when you develop ridging, I really wish I had, maybe the EFS model will do a better job. I'm not sure at this point. But here's the wind, for example. So, okay. The El Nino is not expected to develop for at least probably until after May, but you're seeing here that you're getting ridging starting to really build here during the later half of this month. If this ridging continues to build, we're going to develop flow that kind of has hurricanes kind of do this kind of pattern. And we've seen patterns like this before. It's not a necessarily good sign, because when you have high pressure blocking like this and you just have this constant ridging happening and you have a jet stream that flows like that, there's what an El Nino typically does is brings in wind shear in portions of the Caribbean Sea, and what that does is prevents and really any development for hurricanes in the first place. But the one thing to watch for is you get development closer to the actual United States. There's usually less wind shear in the Gulf of America, unfortunately now. And then there's high pressure. If this high pressure can expand, the CFS model is the best example of this because it goes out the longest. It's not really showing. So the high pressure, you can kind of see, continues to flow like this. And any hurricane, this goes through another 2 months. So we will be in almost summertime. You can see this ridging here, right here. This is going to become an issue because, again, the jet stream is flowing like this, which is typical of a strong El Nino, and that's what they're hinting at already. Below around this, there would be little to no development in a super El Nino in the Caribbean Sea that goes through the main development region for hurricanes. The problem is if you can have pieces of energy or pieces of tropical moisture come off of the northern half of Africa and come in and around this high pressure. Now, the depending factor on how strong this, if these hurricanes can get close enough, is really going to depend on, it's going to be really depending on the amount of times that you get low pressure systems to not come through. Like, let's just say, I'm trying to find a specific scenario. Let me just develop one. So let's say there's a high pressure blocking here like there is right now. You get a high pressure that's kind of expanded itself. You get a flow around it, as you can see. There's nothing really, the high pressure system is tilted a bit further to the north and a bit further to the south and east. The hurricane really has nowhere to go but to right up the eastern seaboard. So the potential could be here for the entire eastern seaboard to be on high alert. And the last time we had a super El Nino, it's been quite a while. And the last time we had that, we've had several analog years of hurricanes hitting the east coast of an El Nino year. And don't even forget, we had an El Nino year between 2015 and 2020, where we had big winter storms, multiple nor'easters. So it's not incapable of getting that type of flow. And if we look at the wind shear, well, the wind shear is obviously, but for example, you can see with the overall temperature anomalies. Let's see here. I think this summer could be extraordinarily warm, and the given point is because you have such a far tilted jet stream and you have temperatures warm here. And then the wind flow. Let me just show you the wind flow real quick. wait for this to load. I'm gonna check the severe weather just for a second. It doesn't look like we're dealing with anything significant right now. It just looks to me like we're just dealing with generalized severe weather so far, which is what we would like to remain to see. Still some strong rotation near Oxford. Oh, I'm sorry, you guys came in here. I forgot to flip the slide. I was just waiting for that to load, but yeah. Unfortunately, okay, here we go. All right, so this is very typical of an El Nino. You see how this pattern here is you have this jet stream that kind of just goes like this. This is an El Nino pattern, okay? And then you have flow that goes around it, and then obviously the hurricane may be pushed out to sea. But if you get further, you start getting development that gets the jet stream flatter. Like you get little pieces of it oriented like this, where it's more of a zonal, more of a very wavy jet stream pattern. But you can notice all the way through here, you've got high pressure developed here. You can have flow that goes all the way up the coastline. So I don't think necessarily that we'll see any direct impacts along the East Coast line. I can see one in North Carolina. I can see one potentially even in Florida. And I can see maybe a very low chance of one in southern New England. Do I think we're going to see anything that gets into Maine? Probably not, but obviously you cannot rule that out. But this is very typical of an El Nino pattern. Let me just show you the difference between an El Nino and La Nina. It's pretty, let me just show you. All right, forget that. Here's essentially what an El Nino is, okay? We're in a La Nina pattern right now, okay? So a La Nina pattern typically has winds that, a jet stream that digs like this. An El Nino has a jet stream that dips more like this. A jet stream has more wind shear in the Caribbean, and a La Nina typically has less wind shear, which means it's typically more favorable. However, the Atlantic Basin could be quite active this entire season, just given the fact that if the CFS is correct and we have flow like this, we can have systems that ride up the eastern seaboard. This is a great example of that. And not only that, but the overall sea surface temperatures are getting extremely warm in I'm not sure exactly how warm they are in the Atlantic Ocean, but I would assume they're pretty warm because there's not really any systems that have really been through there in for quite some time. But yeah. Back to this general stuff. Let me get rid of this real quick. All right. Apologize for that. All right, back to the severe weather. So, tornado warning still remains in effect for portions of Oxford. This is up in Illinois. This is about to expire in about 5 minutes. There's still some rotation with this storm. Not a whole ton of it, but there's a little bit. This storm's pretty much fallen apart. But the warm front is definitely extending to the north, which is what we expected. What's interesting now is this severe thunderstorm warning is for 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts and ping pong ball sized hail. Remember, that's 1.5 inches, excuse me, in diameter with a tornado possible label. This does not look tornadic to me anymore. Just a general severe thunderstorm. apologize for the mute. Tornado warning was just issued for portions of let me get back to it here. You can't see it for a second, but it was just issued if you're in portions of like Manitou, Illinois, just get in shelter. Lowest part of your home or lowest part of the home or building is the best suggestion I have for you. And it looks to me like there's nothing really on the ground with this storm. However, still watch. Yeah, we're still gonna have to watch it, unfortunately. But back to the mesoscale discussion. And then behind it already, all hazards will be possible. So tornadoes of potentially an EF1 tornado or more could be possible. Wind gusts in excess of 55 to 70 miles per hour is possible, which is damaging, unfortunately. Hail in excess of 1 inch and 1 3/4 inches in diameter is also a possibility. So there's the latest from the mesoscale, from the SPC themselves. All right, let me put that in here. And there we go. Okay. Did it go in? It did. It got a little bit mixed up, I think, within everything, but it's all right. That's not a big deal. We'll see if this tornado actually gets going. It doesn't look like there's, okay. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's anything on the ground. Otherwise, storm chasers would have said something by now. I still just see very broad rotation. I'm not really seeing much of anything here. I can take a look at this high resolution, but it's, again, still not much of anything there. So I'm interested why it was even warned in the first place. But of course, any individual supercells, you do have to be careful because they are capable of producing large hail, damaging winds, and tornadoes. Looking up down through this line through Oklahoma City, just a bunch of gusty thunderstorms. I'm surprised this one is not. I wonder if they can issue a special weather statement with a tornado possible label. There could be the potential for a tornado on this one as well. 50 to 55 mile per hour wind gusts can be expected, as well as nickel-sized hail. So again, enough to produce damage. Okay, I think what's going to happen here Hello, sorry about that. Um, Additional convection will likely weaken these storms, but we'll see what happens. All right, our line is starting to develop. The one thing I'm already noticing is if the HRRR model is definitely not showing that. Hmm. Wait, has this tornado warning been... Okay, interesting. All right. This thunderstorm does have a hook echo on it, if you can see, but the problem is the velocities are just not picking up on anything. As you can see, pretty much nothing here. So again, I mean, it should be one for large hail, which it is, but that's larger hail than what they're predicting by far. The DBZ levels are like 60 plus, so that's much. That could be as much as 2-inch sized hail, which is about what they're saying. It's a nice developing line, I will admit. Just severe thunderstorm warnings at this point. Um, the one thing I'm noticing about tonight already is that we're much like last night, which I missed unfortunately. The storm reports are um we had 2 potential tornadoes. Well, okay, so there was 2 tornadoes last night. So, and remember, it was a 10% risk. So, I'm noticing something already about between tonight and last night. Nothing much is really going on, which is quite interesting because it's been happening in the same area. Okay, well, that's one severe thunderstorm warning that I did not see. That has a large hail core on it with likely probably 2-inch sized hail. This one is near Red Rock, Oklahoma for 60-mile-per-hour gusts and quarter-sized hail. There's yet more thunderstorms down here in the portions of Kingfisher. Again, gusty winds and hail are the main concerns. I've already spoke about this one. 50 to 55-mile-per-hour gusts and nickel-sized hail can be expected. Another special weather statement in parts of excuse me, Gracemont, Oklahoma again for 50-mile-per-hour gusts and penny-sized hail. another thunderstorm to the northwest of it that is mostly, again, gusty winds and hail. 50 to 55 miles per hour wind gusts and half-inch size hail can be expected. These are just a bust of gusty thunderstorms, basically. We have other severe thunderstorm warnings down here that are warned for 60 mile per hour wind gusts and small hail. This one looks to me more, yep. This one is also one of those storms that could easily become tornadic because they're individual. And the town, there's not much towns that this one is near. They're Guthrie. And then another thunderstorm behind it for 60 mile per hour wind gusts and quarter-sized hail. Just your typical springtime thunderstorms. This one is located near Garrard. I'm not gonna lie. I think this tornado threat tonight is gonna be a bust again because the conditions are just not favorable. The one limiting factor is the clouds. The clouds could keep this to a limited threat. Okay. Well, tornado watch has now been extended into portions of northern central Illinois and more northwestern portions of Indiana. Which is quite interesting given the point that okay, this looks like it may actually be trying to do something now. Yeah, see, the radar's just not picking up on anything, so we're just gonna have to rely purely on the storm chasers. But for some reason, they're extending the tornado watch. I'm not really sure why they're doing that because typically they only do it with a 5% risk. But this area here is also in the hatched risk, but it's a 2%. I'll be right back. Give me 1 second. Alright guys, I've decided not to live stream this because I just don't think this is gonna play out. We'll see how accurate I am in the morning. Just for the record, tornado warning still in effect for portions of Green Valley. This looks like a thunderstorm that could be trying to drop a tornado right now, but again, little to no rotation. If anything, very weak rotation. Nothing seems to be on the ground with the storm. Just keep in mind there is a tornado warned thunderstorm, and seek shelter immediately, whether that's the lowest part of your home or building. Until then, I'll just check the Storm Prediction Center one more time, just to make sure. They have remained with a 5% risk, which is not an overly high risk, and so yeah. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to never miss an upload. And without further ado, we will see you in the next one.